Hey friends, you're watching BrainStormAcres. I'm Henry.
And I'm Irene.
We live off-grid on 43 acres of mud.
Yes, we do. And surrounded by thousands more acres of mud.
I just got back from a town run. We do live on 43 acres here in the high desert of northern Arizona. Our house is at 1 mile high. That is 1 mile above sea level. It's really great weather most of the year. We have 4 seasons. We have snow, we have hot, and then we have
Mud.
I guess that's 5 seasons.
Right. Well, mud can happen during any season. It usually happens sometime in the winter, which can be fall or spring or winter, you know, any of that time frame there. Anywhere between October and April, we can have mud. We don't usually have mud in May, although it can happen.
We've had mud in July.
Yes, well, that's monsoon season, so July, August, September. So there's really not any place where it can't be during the year. But there are times when it is more likely to be there.
Yeah, the weather really isn't bad for working outside. It's gloomy, overcast, gray, drizzly, rainy, snowy, hail.
Yeah.
But the problem is the mud.
Mud, yeah.
The soil here is very expansive.
It's got a lot of clay and weird silts and stuff like that in it, so.
Which means if you walk in it, well, you're not going to walk on it, you're going to walk in it.
You're going to walk in it, it's going to kind of scooch up around your shoes.
And I can tell you from past personal experience, years ago, you can end up with 10 pounds of clay on each foot easily.
Oh, well, and you have to be careful about letting the mud harden on your tires and stuff. Henry spent quite a bit of time at a car wash the other day, pressure washing off the mud that had hardened. He didn't realize how much he picked up. We haven't really driven this car that we're driving right now in the mud before. We've got it earlier in the year when it was dry. We didn't really drive it in any kind of mud. It handles fine in the mud. It's just that you're shaking the car apart because you've got so much mud on all the steering components that your tires and stuff are totally out of balance. So it sounded like we were going to rattle apart there for a few days.
And we would have.
Yeah, so he blasted it off with a pressure washer. Right now it's mud, so that's one of the reasons we have flagstone at both the front door and the kitchen door, because I got really tired of trying to beat that dirt back out the door. And in the summertime, it cuts down on the amount of dust that you drag in, because if it's really dry, you will get the silt and all the pollen and all that kind of stuff you're dragging in too. We do have rugs, but it's better if you have a runway that you can kind of keep clean. So I get out there every couple of days and sweep off the flagstone and stuff. And the plan long term is I'm going to reset some of the flagstone again this spring. I'd hoped to do it last year, but
Gophers.
Well, gophers is part of the problem. We have some of that special.
We have polymeric sand that will seal between the flagstones. I've had it for a number of years, but the problem is you have to have the temperature above 55 degrees and not have any rain.
Right.
Well, you also don't want to have a lot of wind because it'll pick up the little grains of polymeric sand and blow it around.
Right. So we almost had enough time to get it done this year, and it just didn't happen. It was one of those things where it'll reduce the amount of weeding you have to do. And
it'll also reduce the amount of sand that comes in the house.
Right.
Because we did bed those flagstone in sand.
Right.
When I took the trip into town today, because I needed to take a couple of packages in for Irene's business and pick up one, there's one more shot at packages this week. But I'm going to try not to go into town because
unless someone says it's an emergency, I'm going to just say, sorry, we can't get there. Unless the weather somehow becomes wonderfully nice, which it's not forecast to be.
No.
We had another, only 0.02 of an inch of rain today. But it's on top of all the other rain we had. So we've had almost an inch of rain in the last 24 hours. There's also ice that had melted. And, you know, so it's just squishy messy out there. And it's not going to get any better for several days. We actually have multiple days forecast of rain.
But fortunately, next week, it may freeze.
Maybe, but it's also, there's another storm coming in behind this one.
And there's always more storms coming in just when you would rather not have one.
Right. So, and it's getting into, starting next week, it'll be starting to get into season for the next event that we're doing. So we have a bunch of stuff. I may just see if I can order some stuff online rather than trying to go, because I need to go to a fabric shop and some other stuff, and I'm like, I don't really want to have to. So I may go online and just see if I can find the stuff. I think I remember the name of the fabric I need.
Yeah. While I was gone, you also did a little bit of
Yeah,
footage.
I did a little bit of video of our insane timers.
Yeah.
So, if you've been following us for any length of time, you've probably seen this corner of our kitchen. And there's frequently a piece of French bread over there from the bakery. And we have all our spatulas and stuff. And there's my way cool new container that I got for a Christmas present from our daughter. And a very important part of this little conglomeration is these guys. We have 2 timers. Now, I'm not getting anything from these timer people. It's made by Taylor, got them on Amazon, and we got the original set of these probably 4 or 5 years ago at least. Now, they have, I think, a 1-year warranty on them. The reason I chose this particular set was I wanted a simple timer. I did not want something that had 75 buttons and knobs and things that I had to deal with. I prefer a digital to an analog timer because I want to be able to read the numbers really clearly. These have large numbers. They also have both an hour button and a minute button. And that allows me to do long things. So if I'm timing something like pizza dough, I can set it for a couple of hours and it's not a problem. The timer's not going to lose its mind. And when I want to change it, I simply hold down the center button and it goes away. We, like I said, bought 2 of these originally from Amazon probably, I don't know, probably 5 years ago. Now, the second reason I bought these, other than the easy to read stuff and the easy to use stuff, was the sound level. These are advertised as noisy timers. And when I say noisy timers, I do mean noisy timers. We joked that it would wake the dead and that there's no way you could possibly ignore this timer. Now, the reason we went for these was because our previous timer had started to get quiet. And if you have the dishwasher running and the exhaust fan over the stove running, you just plain wouldn't hear it. Both Henry and I are a bit sensitive to white noise, which is not uncommon as you get older. And, it was enough noise that you just would miss it. And there were a couple of almost disasters because the timer was just too quiet. So I specifically went on Amazon and looked for loud timers, loud kitchen timers. And that's what we got. Now, I have to say, I hate that sound. I hate that sound with a passion, but I can't miss it. So this year for Christmas, the old ones we had become erratic. They would, like if you bump them, like bink, like that, just a little bump like that, it would decide to go off, or it would reset the electronics. I tried changing the batteries, and that worked for probably another 3 or 4 months, but it didn't ever really finish the problem up the way I wanted it finished up. I wanted to have my old reliable timers back. So we decided to ask Santa for a new set of timers this Christmas, and Santa brought them. So, like Christmas Day after Christmas Day, something like that, we took the old ones. The one set had recently had its battery changed, so I pulled out the batteries because they're fine. They'll be used for something else. And the other set, when I popped the back open, it had the original Chinese batteries that it came with. So I decided, nah, I'm not going to bother. They had both become very unreliable, and unreliable timers are a bad thing. So, now for a moment of irony. I pitched the trash out the door. It was raining like crazy, and I was not going to drag over to the garbage can, so the trash is right there. But if you listen quietly, can you hear that sound? The timer that I left the blasted batteries in decided to go off like 24 hours after I'd thrown it into the trash or something like that. And I've been leaving it here because I want to see how long it's going to run. I came out in the morning with Jack and I'm like, Henry, I'm hearing an alarm. What is it? You know, and there's a lot of things around here that have little beep beeps like that on it. So you have to be aware. When you hear something like that go off, you figure out what it is. Is there some sort of an electrical thing that's gone crazy or whatever? And he came out and he's like, yeah, it is outside. And then he's like, I know what it is. And I'm like, what? He's like, you have to guess. And I'm like, I have no clue. Yeah, the timer has gone off in the trash. So the timer, there was no longer going off when we would set it, or there was going off randomly, is now going off randomly in the trash. And so far, it has been going off for a day and a half. Like I say, I'm leaving it here because I really want to know how long this stupid thing's going to run for. It's not beeping quite as fast as it was before, but this is kind of a test. That old Chinese battery in there that was not, like, it wasn't working right anymore. Okay, I threatened it apparently. It's trying to salvage itself. No matter how long it beeps for, I'm not taking it out of the trash. So I should just tell the battery that right now. But I thought everyone might enjoy a moment of irony because everyone needs something silly in their lives occasionally, and this qualifies as silly. Hey, but it's a science experiment. We have to find out how it ends.
Now, when I went to town, I ran some footage of the road. This is really the first time I've had a chance to have a camera set up in one spot so you can actually see what the road is like. And because it's an action camera, you're not going to see as much waving around on the road as would actually happen, but it should be entertaining.
Yeah, it is funny how it eliminates a lot of the slide motions in the I don't understand how it does it, but that's cool anyway, I guess. The only thing is it doesn't really show, how terrifying it can be sometimes. I don't mind if I'm by myself on the road. Like, it can be really deep and really scary, and there's times when you do have to just let the car come to a halt and take a couple of breaths and pry your fingers off the steering wheel and reflect them again. But generally I don't mind that. What I mind is when I have to pass another car.
Unfortunately, the propane delivery company,
Oh no, did they get stuck again?
they didn't stop. And they got all the way down to the water station and turned around at the water station. And they sat there for a while, I'm sure trying to figure out whether or not they were going to be able to get back
out or
out.
not.
It's only about a quarter of a mile.
Yeah.
But it's still mud, and it's still slippery, and it was entertaining watching them.
I'm sure it was, because we had one out here who actually did a heck of a lot of damage to the road several years ago. He came all the way down here, right by our driveway, when he shouldn't have. He should have had way more sense than that.
No.
Well, the old guys who used to drive out here knew better. It was a mess. Guy got totally stuck. They had to get an extreme tow truck out. They ripped up the road.
The joys of living off-grid in an area where the roads are not maintained by the county, the city, the state, or anybody besides the local residents.
Looks like a muddy road to me.
Sounded like a crazy timer to me.
Yeah, they are crazy timers. That was so dumb. I could not believe that. I was like, what's that sound?
Yeah, actually, she said, "What's that sound? Can you tell where the noise is coming
Right.
from?" And
Because I was out, I popped out the door. I would Jack to let him use the bathroom, and it was like, there's an alarm going off out here.
Yeah, and she doesn't have directional hearing. I
Right.
still have directional hearing, so I went out to find it, and she went back in the house because it was, I don't know.
It was chilly.
It was chilly, and there was snow and ice.
Yeah,
and
all that kind of good junk.
so I walked out, and I came back in laughing because.
Yeah, because he figured it out. It was in the garbage bag. That's hysterical.
Say goodbye, Irene.
Yeah, so I am going to drink hot chocolate and tea this afternoon.
Hot
Yep.
chocolate.
And I've been sorting some fabric. I want to do some sewing, and I think I've decided on which pattern I'm going to use. I just have to figure out whether I've got enough fabric washed. If I don't, I have to go get some more out of
enough
storage.
washed. You weren't going to say might not have enough fabric.
Oh, I have an entire bolt. I just need to decide whether I've got enough washed. If I don't, I'll need to go back out to storage one and get the bolt and wash some more fabric.
Well, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications because we're doing a lot more stuff. Hopefully, we'll be doing some more interesting stuff over the next couple of days. Maybe even some of it out in the greenhouse.
Could be. I really need to get the place cleaned up out there and get some stuff organized. You took a bunch of buckets of dirt out there for me a while ago, and there's just with Christmas, it was like if it was any time of the year I deserve a little time off. It's Christmas, so I've been reading books, and I've been doing some research and deciding what I'm going to make new for my shop. That's mental exercise more than getting out and getting your hands dirty. So
Say goodbye, Irene.
yeah. So until next time, bye.
Keep brainstorming.
Yeah, we obviously have to. In between the hot chocolate,
That's cheating. You didn't tell me you got hot chocolate.